Hello all, how are you? We are here today for another fireside chat, and then we're going to keep talking about the importance of the feet and how different people that practice different type of sports find or discover why feet are so important. So today we're having Devon with us, and we're so excited. Devon is located in Canada. She used to be a triathlete. Then she went to work on like I would say a typical a corporate job. And then she decided just to go after her passion, that is fitness. And this is a way how she's created a big impact. So Devon is going to be here at any moment. I'm just checking. Let's see. I'm waiting for her to join. Thank you all for joining. And then we have Devon here. She's here. 1 second, we're trying to connect. And we will have Devon here soon. Hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. And I'm very happy to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for accepting our invitation to join us and to talk about your journey, feet, and how we can balance mind and body also, through our feet. So, Devon, I'm going to go kind of directly into the subject, and then we're going to come back a bit to know you a bit more. But my first question is, when was the first moment that you realized how important feet are for our health?
Probably about 3, maybe 4 years ago. Actually, probably even sooner than that. I've always had a lot of feet problems. I have really, really flat feet. Probably the biggest point was when I was told by a foot doctor that because of my flat feet and I was having a lot of loss of sensation throughout my left leg all the way up to my hip whenever I would do activity, because of that, they were going to cut off my heel bone and reattach it.
Oh, wow.
And I would probably never be able to walk normally again.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was probably like the most extreme time that I realized. I think there's a part of you that kind of always knows, like when you twist your ankle, you know how much it affects everything, but you don't really pay attention to it. But this, I had to wear a boot on my left foot, and so I had to get all new shoes because the boot wouldn't fit into my shoe in the shoes I had. So I had to get shoes a size bigger, and it was this whole process. But then I realized I was walking lopsided, which throws off the equilibrium of the rest of my body. So I actually got together with my physiotherapist, and I was like, hey, my doctor says I need to do this surgery. I don't want to do this surgery. Can we fix this?
Right.
And he was like, look, you can fix almost most things without surgery. It's just that people aren't willing to do the work to do it. So if you're willing to do the work, let's do the work and we'll get it fixed. So we did the work, and I probably is when I got in the best shape of my life, just because I was so focused on fixing this foot. I had to do a certain type of workouts. I had to like do my foot workouts. I had to do all sorts of different things. And that's what like kind of made me refocus back into fitness and health and focus more on what's going on in my body.
And then I know you have had like a very interesting path of kind of in this discovery that the feet are the roots of our body.
Yeah.
Could you please tell us a bit more what happened afterwards, how you became so interested on not only assessing your students or your clients from bottom up, but also all this path that you went through from the different certifications that you got. And I thought that this is really worth it to share with our viewers.
I think that was probably the biggest catalyst. I feel like everybody has a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been a personal trainer previously and then caught up in the corporate world. And that actually brought me back to personal training, having that experience myself. Going into personal training and then working with my clients and realizing I don't really know enough to help them when they get injured, when I do notice the imbalances. Like I was noticing the imbalances. I was noticing what was happening in their feet and trying to, yeah, I could tell them, okay, do this, put your foot in this position when you're doing a squat. But I didn't really understand fully the mechanics myself. So I started taking courses. So I took some anatomy courses and physiology. I took Thai massage. So Thai massage is really, really in depth with feet in terms of the clients. You actually step on their feet. And then as a practitioner, we use our feet within the practice. So that connection of how the feet are used on both sides of it was a big one for me, and I think that even like made me a little bit more interested in feet, which is really funny because I used to hate feet. I used to think like feet are like, oh, feet are
Yeah.
gross. Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like, or like I'd be weird if somebody touched my feet and all that stuff because it's like it's weird how we have such a negative relationship with our feet when they're so important to us and so important for everything that functions within our body. So yeah, so then after I did Thai massage, I did stretch therapy. We still do a lot of stuff working on your feet. I started training barefoot, which changed everything. Like getting out of the shoes because shoes were just they were just so not the thing that I wanted to wear all the time. They're always very painful. So training barefoot or in socks was always like way more comfortable. And then finally, I was just like, I had to admit that I kind of had this thing for feet, not a real foot fetish, but, and I did my reflexology. So I just finished my diploma. I'm doing my final hours. So I passed my exams, passed all that stuff. So I'm actually just doing my practical hours that I have to do before I have my actual paperwork of a diploma as a
Oh,
reflexologist.
congratulations!
Thanks.
This is amazing, and I really love how um, you went from. You will tell us the story from being a triathlete and then a fitness coach, but then you realize where you could really make a difference with your patients or clients,
Mhm.
students, and it's through the fit. And then tell us what happens when you do a body assessment, when you have a
So
client, and how all this new knowledge have changed and also an impact. Because I went through your Instagram, I was amazed at how many good comments you have, or just after one class or after just one session with you,
mhm.
your clients are really seeing an amazing impact. So how does the body assessment work on your side and the role of the feet on that?
I feel like the feet play an integral role in assessment. So when I teach stretch therapy, when I teach courses and such, I always try to instill in people the foundation of the feet. Like we were talking about, the feet are the foundation of your tree. They're the roots of your tree, right? So nothing can really grow without that. But when I start an assessment, the first thing I look at is people's feet. Even if I do a mobility assessment, which is asking someone to do something movement wise. So when someone does a squat, what is happening in their feet?
Mm-hmm.
Are their arches falling in? Are their arches falling out? Is one foot have to turn one way? Do they have to turn their feet both out this way in order to do a squat? Are they pigeon toed? Like there's so many elements that can tell me. So, like, for example, if somebody's arches cave in
Mm-hmm.
when they do a squat, that tells me a lot about what's going on their inner thighs all the way up to their hips.
So what's going on, for example?
So a lot of times there's weakness there. It could either be weakness or it could be from one just over being overactive or just not strong enough. So, and then it could also indicate the fact that the outer side of the legs are overactive, right? So it's just a starting point so that it helps me know where to go to when I'm treating a client. So if I'm seeing that where their arches are caving in, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to their adductors and be like, hey, what's going on here? Right? Versus if they're when they squat, they have to squat with their feet out wide. I'm going to look at the lateral aspect of their thighs and see what's going on there. Say, okay, are you overcompensating with the lateral aspect? And then that still a lot of times still leads you back to what's happening on the inside thighs and the adductors, taking of course with their client history. So they'll usually fill out forms. So I'll usually have an idea if they're a desk worker, if you're a construction worker. That tells a lot about their lifestyle and how much pressure they're putting on their feet, how much pressure they're putting on their glutes. And that can tell me where the tightness is. So then that helps to lead me within the session so that I know areas to focus on.
So now that you mentioned desk worker, I think also because of COVID, probably this is,
Yeah.
I don't know if I have ever spent so much time seated in front of my computer
Yeah.
or, seated helping my daughter with the school, etc. So
Yeah.
we sit a lot, and we do believe like our feet do nothing, there is no impact. So when you said like a desk worker, so what do we have to pay attention to? What should we be doing in order to take care of our body through our feet? Any advice on that?
Movement is always great. It's like my answer for everything is move as much as you can. So like you have to take breaks. I'm also a culprit. I do a lot of sitting throughout the day, and I've been doing a lot more because of COVID, and because I do reflexology now. So reflexology, I'm sitting for an hour when I'm treating clients. So even while I'm treating clients, I have to mentally tell myself I got to sit up straight, keep my positioning, and I got to keep my feet flat on the ground. Like I have a habit of going on the tops of my toes and curling them under the chair. And that's not a natural position for your feet. Your feet don't really love that position. So just trying to keep my feet flat. So then that takes a lot of pressure off of my hips and my glutes when you're sitting, right? When your feet are flat and they're focused, because it takes some of the pressure off in that aspect. Also rolling your feet. So I'm going to do a little foot roll. So my favorite thing in the whole world is a lacrosse ball.
A lacrosse ball. Okay.
Yeah. So literally, this is the ball that they use when they play the sport lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
You can get this anywhere, any sports store. You can get it at any store, like online, anywhere. Just search lacrosse ball. You'll find a million results, and they're super cheap. But this is like the most important tool in my stretch world, along with the foam roller.
I'm going to get one for sure.
All right, so we're going to stand up. So I'm sitting on the ground today on my lovely tie mats because they're nice and comfy. So you're going to take your ball, have it on the ground. You could do this seated. If you have problems with balance, you could do this seated. And you're going to put your foot, I like a harder surface. This mat usually isn't the best, but I like the aesthetic of it. So you're going to put your foot on the ball and you're just going to roll it. And it's literally a massage for your foot. And you're going to find whatever areas need rolling. So right here on the inside of my arch is a little bit tight. I feel a little bit of tension in there. So I just spend a little extra time. And you can roll the sides. And then if you want to add a little extra, you do a little bit of a stretch of those toes. So our toes don't really get as much love as they should. So just pushing them into dorsiflexion, because a lot of us are plantar flexors automatically, and that can lead to deeper issues. So just pressing. Oops, we're off screen.
So one of our viewers is asking a question, and she's asking, how long are you supposed to do that for? And I also with that, how often?
I do this daily. I also have my my foot. It's all prickly. Zoom in.
Oh,
so
nice.
You stand on it to get you your foot. Just activating your foot, sending extra circulation. You can do it as long as it feels good. I don't like to put a time limit on anything just because everybody feels things differently. I could say do it for 30 seconds and you're not ready to finish at 30 seconds. Or I could say, or you're at 10 seconds, you're like, oh, this is too much. It just depends on where you're at. So if your feet are really tight, 10 seconds is going to feel like a lot. If you do this regularly, I could sit there and do it constantly. Like sometimes while I'm doing other stuff, like if I know I'm like doing my hair or something, I'll try to do that if I'm standing in the mirror. So, yeah.
This is great. Thank you so much, because those are very simple tips, and this is amazing. We have had before other guests that have given also, I mean, completely different tips, but it's all complementary. And this is awesome because it's very simple and something that we can practice. And then I just want to remember everyone, and something I didn't know, and it's completely new to me: feet flat while you are seated on a desk, working on your desk.
Yeah.
This is a great tip. Thank you, Devon.
It's just about, sometimes it's just about mindfulness and just being aware of what's happening with your body. So I like to start with my feet because it's the one thing that I can kind of like do. And I'm just like, oh, remember to do this. And then that affects a lot of things that go throughout. I sit straighter as soon as my feet are flat.
Yeah, I noticed that. If I have my feet flat, like now I'm practicing, and I'm someone that tries to be like, yeah. And then actually that reminds me of once I met in an airplane. I was talking with someone from the army, and then one of the things he said is like, remember, when the plane is landing, always put your feet flat. Always. If anything, the strength of your body is not going to come from your arms, from your thighs, from like if there is a high impact, it's going to come from your feet.
Yeah.
So this makes totally sense.
Yeah.
I love that, Devon. Thank you so much. And then now let's talk a bit about you. One of the reasons I'm doing these fireside chats is because there are so many people out there that don't need to have 1 million followers to inspire, to influence someone. And I think you are an inspiration. And we don't care about the number of followers that you have, but it's about what you have done, how you have evolved. And then could you please share a bit about you? Who is Devon?
We only have a couple minutes in this chat.
I know.
I like to say that I've lived a lot of life. I've worn a lot of hats throughout my life. I've kind of gone with my heart. I followed my heart a lot of times. It leaves you a little bit of as an outsider a lot of the times, but at the end of the day, if I could feel comfortable with my decisions, then it makes life worth living. So just choosing I went from being a spoken word artist where I used to travel and perform internationally. I went back into the fitness world. I dabbled in the music world a little bit, just on the corporate side. And yeah, I was in a corporate job for 15 years straight without doing any of my while I was doing spoken word, while I was doing fitness, while I was doing all the little other things that I wanted to do. but when I decided to leave corporate in 2013, and also please note that was the same year that the doctor told me about the feet. So it sparked a whole change and a whole avenue of my life in that one, when I learned to take care of myself a little bit better, it steered me to make different choices in life and choose myself and life purpose in order to move forward and to find my own happiness. And it's that thing that everybody talks about. Like you don't look for happiness outwards. You always try to have that happiness, that self assurance within. And then once you have that, everything else just unfolds. Like the universe will send you everything that you need. And that doesn't mean that everything's good all the time. It means that when bad things happen, you're just more ready and able to handle it and deal with it and take the lesson from it versus just sitting in it and wallowing in it. So those are some of the lessons I've learned just from like doing all the different things from going. Now I'm like personal trainer, stretch therapist, Thai masseuse, neurokinetic therapist, reflexologist. I feel like I'm forgetting stuff.
Well,
I have an admin consulting business. Like there's so many things that I don't put on my social media. My social media literally is my business, but in my outside life, the people that know, like my clients who come to me know everything because I'm an open book. If you ask me, I'll tell you. Because in keeping those secrets, secrets is what kept me really insecure for a very long time. And as soon as I let go of those secrets and just started embracing, hey, this is me, this is my life, this is what happened, and this is what I'm not going to let hold me back. It changed everything and took me to another level of just being very happy with who I am.
I love that. And I love, and something that I don't hear that often, and I'm sure I'm going to keep, is about the secrets, right? Sometimes we hold tight into things that we don't want either others to see or we're not sure about showing. And I think we have to embrace vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being very honest and sharing that. I appreciate that. And then I always like to ask, who do you admire? Who has inspired you and why?
I was just talking about this the other day. My grandmother my maternal grandmother was a very, very amazing woman. She, at a time, it fascinates me. Like she was born in the 1920s and in the Caribbean, and went through a life. Like she was abused. She had children out of wedlock. She became the first nurse on the island into when she was in her 60s and 70s. Even after she retired, she used to travel the world. She was the woman who taught me how to dance. Like she used to like wind down to the ground in her 60s and 70s. She used to bring me the hottest new reggae and soca from the islands when she had come home. And she just taught me a lot about just like living by your own rules. And for a long time, I didn't understand it. Like when I was a kid, I didn't understand it. Of course, it wasn't until like I was in my 30s and she was on her last days, that probably about 2 weeks before she died, we sat on her porch in St. Vincent, and I asked her, I was like, hey, Granny, tell me your life story. And she's like, what, you write in a book? And I said, maybe. And she's like, okay. And then we sat there for like 2-3 hours and she told me her whole life. And it literally just blew my mind because I had no idea. Like there were certain things that I knew, but I had no idea. Like she was just very vulnerable, very honest with me, didn't keep any secrets. She told me the good, the bad, the ugly, and it made me love her more. And that was very eye-opening to me, right? It was very eye-opening that somebody, like, you try to like hide things from people in order for them to like you. but her telling me everything is what made me love her more.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
What was the name of your
that's my
grandma?
inspiration. Her name was Annie, and we used to call her Granny Annie.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. And my very last question, and is you talk a bit about that, but it's like, what do you think of your feet and how the relationship with your feet have changed over the years?
I used to hide my feet all the time. I never used to wear sandals. I never used to wear open toes. I was an athlete for a very long part of my life. And so I have corns on my feet. So I used to think that I could not show my feet. I have ugly feet. I have really skinny feet, which are like awkward. And then I have like fallen arches. So like all those things made me feel like, oh, I cannot show my feet. People can't see them. I would hide them, wear socks constantly to hide them. But now I work barefoot, so like people have to see my feet, especially if I have them face down on the table, and like the only thing they could see are my feet. And I even used to think that I has to have my feet done. Now I don't do nail polish. I don't do any of that stuff on my feet. I love them in the natural state. There's times where I'm really like, oh, look at my cute feet.
And it's amazing that you say that, because one of the reasons I also created Talkits, and that kind of became really clear over the years, is I asked this question to almost everyone, and probably 60% of the people or more don't like their feet. And I think Talkits also is about self-acceptance through your feet. You know, you have what you have, you need to take care of it and accept it. And then so yeah, through our designs we bring joy, color, and you know, we're conscious, so all of that goes through the feet. But the main thing is like, show them, show your toes, engage your toes, be with your feet. And this is one part of the body that is very easy to hide, because it's through shoes, socks, etc., right? But thank you. And I love how open, honest you were with us today, and that is going to be so helpful for many viewers that are today with us and that are going to view our interview later on. Because I think just I love to see who is behind the picture, who is behind the account, and then we discover things about you that we couldn't really read through your Instagram account. So thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And then we will keep in touch. And then Devon, one last thing. If our viewers want to find you, I believe you do some, you're now doing everything online, right?
Yes. So
if anyone wants to work with you, what can they do?
So you can hit me here on Instagram, Devon MD Jones, which is also my website. Everything is Devon MD Jones, Facebook, Instagram, website, everything. I also work with the Stretch Therapist. So you can follow them too at the Stretch Therapist. And I work with them. That's where I teach courses through the Stretch Therapist. I also do stretch therapy with them. And I also do online assessments through the Stretch Therapist. So if you go on their site, you can get booking through there, and more information through that.
Perfect. So now if you want an amazing body assessment from feet up, you need to look for Devon. Okay, Devon, thank you so much.
Thank you, Paola,
for being today here. I really appreciate and love this chat. And then I look forward to having you in another moment.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.